All right, good morning, everybody. And I am having some difficulty sharing my screen, of course. So, if this is working for you, please let me know in the chat. Um, yeah, very good. All right. I, mm, mm, I don't seem to be able to to do my exercises, my warm up exercises. If you watch them, right, feel free to do your warm ups as per usual. Well, good morning. Welcome to Drawing for Tattooers. I'm your host, James Wisdom. Uh, and today, as promised, we're going to check out Byrne Hogarth's Dynamic Wrinkles and Drapery. And it's a very interesting book. And I believe that just adding these, all of these references to your library are going to be really useful for you as you continue to advance your drawing. Uh, I have to trace all the time. I do. I tattoo every day, and so I trace all the time. Likely, this is something that you do as well. So I really love composing my own images, and that's another skill set. And it's not a total mystery. There is a process that you can sort of follow to help you, you know, come up with these compositions. But of course, again, it's a process, right? You can't just race ahead, to the finalized thing. It does take, study and also a lot of elbow grease, as it were, a lot of hard work. Well, with me this morning, we've got Kyle. Let me see.
Hello.
Kyle, your screen is small. I don't know how to make it.
That's fine.
See if this
You're
will help.
opening the show. Do your thing. Oh,
I couldn't figure out how to make it
okay.
make it work. Good morning, Kyle. How are you?
Doing good. How about you, James?
Oh no, for some reason. Let me see. How about now? Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah. I can hear
Okay,
you.
good. Did you hear me before? I don't know if my headphone was working.
Yeah. I could hear you before.
Okay, very good. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Kyle. How are
Of
you doing?
course. Always. Doing great. Doing good. Doing good. I don't know where my eye pencil is right now, but yeah. How are you?
Well, it's Monday morning, and I'm struggling through the drawing stream as usual. And so, yeah,
Fun
it
times had
is,
by all.
but it's great. No, I mean, I always love doing this, and I always I get really anxious before doing it, and then you know we get through with it, and then at the end I have this really incredible feeling, like not only that we connect with people, I make connections too. Like the stuff that I talk about, a lot of things I like to review the material, cover it before I do it, before I
Mm-hmm.
cover it. Let's say, but something about going over it, you know what I mean, and people give me questions and stuff. It really does. Okay, so but it helps. It helps me. I'm doing this. I'm doing this for myself.
Yeah. It's always fun. I like to talk tattoos and talk art and stuff like that. And there's so many different. Oh, there's just so much knowledge and information out there that I don't even have like the slightest idea about. And then I come on here and you guys talk about stuff and I'm just like, holy cow, So it's always been a rewarding experience for sure.
I love that, and I think that's a great segue to something that I really want to. I really want to touch on
Hmm.
because it's important for tattooing and for health. And that is, I'm going to share uh, just a portion, not the whole thing, but just a portion of a brand new report that that has come out. So, what is what's in my ink? Um, this is a scientific report about the chemical composition of tattoo inks in the U.S. And
Hmm.
so I think what's important to remember here is, again, this is a scientific study, right? That it's to my understanding that it was there was a grant that was awarded, like a federal grant was awarded to the researchers uh, to perform this study, and they used very advanced techniques and scientific method to determine like what's in the tattooings.
Hmm.
Um, Ultimately, they found that what is listed on the bottle is not what's inside the bottle. Right? What's listed outside the bottle is not what's inside the bottle
Hmm.
in a great number of cases. So, um, uh, next month, I'm I'm actually going to be interviewing John Swerk. He's the one of the lead authors on this study. That's the
Hmm.
plan. I'm hoping to get a chance to do it.
Yeah,
Um,
that'd be awesome.
yeah. Here's a couple of notes about it. There doesn't seem to be a health crisis in in the states about in relationship to tattooing things. So
Hmm.
I don't think that's what is being put forward here with this report.
Hmm.
It's simply it just bringing to light that there is a discrepancy between what's what's listed and what's actually inside
Okay.
of these things. And so um, we've talked a lot about upcoming FDA regulations, MOCRA, and the
Hmm.
like. These are things that are going to affect the tattoo industry in the near future.
Hmm.
So uh, having this sort of information, having a really accurate description on the bottle, for instance, is going to, I think, be a necessary transparency within this industry, right? So I'm going to scroll down. There's this very telling graphic. It's somewhat scary. All right, you can't see that. Okay, this. So I'll zoom in a bit. Right, this is a very simplified graphic um, that starts to that talks about the results of the study. So you can see listed on the left, there are several brands of ink. Maybe you have some of these brands. I know I have some of these brands in my cabinet right now. Um,
Hmm.
Listed across the top register, there's all these colors and so on and so forth. You can see the key at the bottom where it talks about just indicating, is there a major discrepancy, minor discrepancy, or is it very correct? And I you can see there's across the board there seems to be a problem here, right? This is what the researchers have discovered. There's a problem. Now there's a lot of articles that have been coming out in in the media about this study. Uh, I wouldn't uh, I wouldn't be surprised if you hadn't seen one of these articles very recently. Essentially, though, uh, this is just bringing to light that there is a discrepancy. I I don't know like if there's uh, if there's a cause for real alarm. Oh my God, I'm using this thing. Like what's been well established in the tattoo industry is that many of these inks, I can't speak to all of them, but I'm just saying many of these inks we know um, work well for us, right? Through our own experience, and then of course through the experience of our colleagues. That people they have a they have a overall there's very low incidence of say allergic reaction, for instance, right? Or They hold up well over time. Um, so we're not trying to like make everybody panic and say that there's some kind of like immediate health crisis. But what I think is important here is that we want the ink companies that we love. We love our ink. You know, we really love our ink. We want to see you do, you know, better. You know, we want to see you. You know, we want to see you like really put together something that as accurate as you can, be as transparent as you can with the ingredients that you have in there. And I think that's really what's useful about this report. Um, so anyway, I wanted to share this. It's something that has really emerged very recently. This is an important topic, and you might very well get questions from your clients. You know, hey, I saw this. What's going on here? I think the point is not to be too alarmed by the report, but just to know that there is a need um, for this industry to self-regulate, right? We can, you know, we need accurate reporting on the label, right? It's really really crucial.
100% transparency.
Yeah, I I would love it if we had if there's anybody in the chat, right? Yeah. Good morning, creature. Really good to see you.
I apologize. What was the website that I mean the article, the analytical what?
Yes. So the website or um,
The
the
article.
title of this report, and I'll just jump to it now. All right. So
sorry.
yeah. No. I've definitely. So here's the thing. This article or this report rather, uh, it's behind a paywall. So it's you know there's like if you really want to read it, you know, I'm not going to discourage anybody from reading it. There's a price to pay to read it. The other thing is that for the most part, if you actually read the articles and sort of and don't get alarmed by the headlines of them, the most of the articles that I've read about it, they do report accurately what is said here. But I think it is alarming immediately as you look at it. So um, now, what is very interesting. Let's see here. I'd like to share another thing if I can with everybody, and I don't know if I'm hoping that this will work, but new intent, yes, okay. So I'm hoping that yeah, that this will work for everybody. I'm gonna hit play. Let's see. I'm gonna scroll to. Hold on. This one. Yeah. I'm hoping that we can share this with the gang.
That some don't. In Europe, when there was sort of a pulse of research on this about a decade ago, there were a few studies that looked at what was in tattoo inks. And almost universally, they found that in the inks they looked at, there were presence of metals that weren't listed in the ink on the ink labels. There were issues where the inks were mislabeled. So what we were talking about earlier with the phthalocyanins, that heavy metal levels were much higher than you would predict. And what's interesting about the last example is that the method they used to break the inks down, when we tried to replicate it, we learned it doesn't actually break the inks down all the way. So that snapshot was incomplete. So we do a lot of works just studying inks themselves. We use what's known as microwave digestion. So it's basically an ultra intense microwave that causes very high heating under pressure. And we do that because if there are metal containing components in the inks, we put strong acids in with those inks, and that breaks the inks down, and then we can quantify the metal in those inks. We do a lot of electron microscopy to actually look at the structure of these inks, on a very small scale to try to see, what's going into it. Are we looking at sort of small nanomaterials that there may be some concerns about them becoming mobile in the body, or, is it sort of big bricks of pigment or something in between? And we do some other work, just again, trying to quantify what's actually in the pigment. Is it what, in the case where we have some information, is it what's on the label, or is there something else in there? Early returns suggest that the issue of mislabeling or incomplete labeling may also be present in some of the inks that we've looked at. It's certainly not necessarily all of the inks in this country, but we're finding inks that are only supposed to contain copper, and when we digest them, there's something else in there, probably cobalt. So that's sort of how we approach this. And the goal with the last part, looking at the inks, is partly to inform the other areas of research, so we know what we should be looking at in terms of, making our own inks to test things. Should there be solids, molecular pigments, a combination of both? Excuse me. And then also our long-term goal with that is to start making this data available to the wider community, so that there is some degree of insight. If you're choosing your inks, and you have a customer who's got a chromium allergy, that we can say, look, this ink is full of chromium, this might not be a good choice. And also try to create at least a snapshot of what is in the inks now, so that 10 or 20 years from now we have some record in case we need it at that point.
So that was a snippet from an interview. You can, if you scan the QR code that I have on the bottom, you can get to that episode. It's an episode from Reinventing the Tattoo, where Guy Atchison and Lauren Gregory actually interviewed John Swerk, and this was like 2 years ago, right? This is a very pertinent issue that has emerged very recently, re-emerged as it were. Here they are talking about this a few years ago, before inks were banned in Europe. There was a new regulations in Europe called REACH, and the REACH regulations actually banned blue and green pigments. In America, I believe I don't want to see blue and green ink get banned. I don't want a federal regulation to prohibit ink. But I really believe that there's an important role for the ink companies, the ink manufacturers, to take here, and that would be to accurately report what's in the bottle. Just like Dr. Swerk was saying, that we need not only to be informed so that we give our clients the best possible outcome with the least amount of risk, but also that there is a snapshot that going forward, that we know what was the composition of ink, and so there can be some further research can be done, right? If we don't know what was in it at the time, how can we have accurate research going forward, right? The next generation, so on and so forth. How are they going to be able to know what's is there any risk, or what would be the risks of getting a tattoo done? I believe that it can be very safe. And I have tattoos. I do them. Probably if you're watching this, you likely have tattoos or do them. And so, and I think that, what we need to do going forward is, really call on our ink suppliers to give us an accurate labeling. And that's just gonna, be a really vital step, right? As new regulations they're on the way, right?
Yeah.
So it's not doom and gloom, but it's going to be difficult, right? There's going to be some challenges and stuff going forward. So anyway, I wanted to touch on that, and again, I'm also we're in the works of scheduling another interview with Dr. Swerk from Reinventing, and so I hope that if you get a chance to watch that video, there's so much technical information in there. So if you're interested, right, there's more. Anyway, I wanted to touch on that. It's been on my mind, right? And I hope that it's coming through. Like, we're not being alarmist, but there is an issue, and we want to know. I think that's it. We just want to know, and I don't think we would. I don't think we can determine yet, based on what's if the labels are 100% accurate. I don't think we could determine yet, like, what that means. But as the future unfolds, it'll help us start to know a little bit more about the repercussions. Right? With every action, there's a reaction, right? That's a basic, ism. And so we need to know, so that way we can make the most informed decision going forward. So anyways, yeah. Kyle, what are your thoughts here? I'm not sure how much you've been paying attention to this at all, and what do you? I just want to get your reaction.
I guess the I don't know how much weight the argument has, but the thing that I kind of see similarities to. So regardless of let's say some of the ingredients in the tattoo inks cause cancer and cause all these issues and stuff like that. What's the difference between that and cigarettes? We're making a choice. We don't know what's fully in it, type of thing, but we're making this choice because we want this thing. We want this tattoo, so we're going to get it. We're not 100% sure what's in the ink, this, that, and the other thing. It's something that people have been doing for a long time, so we do it, whatever, type of thing. What's the difference between that? Is the information comes out and be like, hey, there is possibilities that this, there's causing cancer, cancer causing ingredients in this, and this type of thing. What's the difference between that and somebody going to a gas station and spending $10 on a pack of cigarettes? You know what I mean? Like they definitely know that the harmful parts of the cigarettes. And I know like the weight of this argument may not have like the most, but like it's the first thing that comes to my mind. It's like, well, yeah, if we know, then it's our own choice. It's our body and stuff like that. I can understand in the circumstance of like in the long-term effects of like it weighing down on like the healthcare system and stuff like that. If it becomes like this big epidemic thing, whatever, I can understand that kind of thing. But like, what's the difference between that and the cigarettes itself? Because like cigarettes kill a lot of people, every year. So, and I can't really say that there's been a single person that has died due to a tattoo, cancer being caused by a tattoo. Now, granted, that hasn't been documented and stuff. It could have been, I don't know. But like, I don't know. I feel like, I understand the concern and wanting to regulate things to make sure things are safe for the populace. I get that. But I just feel like it on the it's almost a little excessive, I guess. When it comes to it, I understand the need for it and stuff like that. But like with that argument, I feel like the banning the blue and the green, can be like a lot. Now if there's still a lot I don't know, so it's an extremely uneducated opinion. But that's all I can come back to. It's like, well, if we sign a consent form saying, hey, I acknowledge this, I understand this, I'm still going to get the tattoo, then what's the deal? What do you think?
So yeah, it makes a lot of sense to me. If I'm picking up what you're saying, people need to make an informed choice, right? So if you are, of course, making that choice to get inks, let's say we learn later through research it's determined that there's some health risk. Um, I am with you. I don't think that should prohibit it necessarily. It might very well be a choice, because we have those choices in our society, within culture. You can decide what's best for you personally. We have a lot of that, like so. And I don't want to draw any more equivalencies, but I think that the only way to grasp it is to make a connection, right? And a lot of times I think that sometimes that can lead us astray a bit, building these equivalencies. They can be false to a certain degree. And so what part of me is like, well, I get that there's a danger, and we, like for instance, like within smoking, that choice. This isn't, as far as we know, this isn't anywhere near that. But as far as we know, we don't know, because there hasn't been a lot of research done. All that we know is through anecdotal observations that we have tattoos, or that, for instance, we know people who have had them for a long time. So there's all kinds of ways that we can come to these assessments, but we just don't have there just hasn't been a lot in the way of researching long-term effects. I think that that's going to be really valuable information going forward. And if the federal government just comes in and says, you can't have this anymore, even though, like, through trial and error, tattoo artists and the tattoo industry and community have carefully compiled this, again, through trial and error, right? Like, this really extensive list of products and things that are we found to be useful. Yeah, right. If when we haven't if those things get just taken away, right, then I think that's actually not the best course, right? I don't think we want this overregulation. We need to move slowly and carefully, but yeah. Let's see. We've got some. I appreciate your thoughts on that. That's just my thought. These are just opinions, right? I think that I'm trying to educate myself on it as well. I want to bring it to everybody's attention, but I believe that if we just reject science because it doesn't like fit our ideological sort of notion, that is like tattoo good, right? That's our ideology, isn't it?
Yeah.
Tattoos are good, and we want to use the ink. If the science comes back and says, like, these things aren't good, then again, that's another conversation to have.
Okay.
I think I believe.
Yeah.
But if we just reject it and say, like, no, it doesn't fit my notion, so I have to reject this science. Okay. Again, I'm not saying that we have to like just accept the conclusions of a particular scientific notion. And it's a dialectical relationship. There's a back and forth. You have to keep the conversation going. So of course we know through real life experience that we all believe in tattoos, and we think that they make the world a better place.
Yeah.
If science comes back, I'm saying, I'm not trying to make a big other out of science, but I'm just saying, like, if a scientific inquiry were to come back and to say something that is against our belief in tattoos making the world a better place, we ought to investigate that further.
Yeah.
But I don't think we should reject it or try to abuse research to get it to say what we want.
Yeah.
Right. And
Makes
certainly,
sense.
like, just prohibiting it by the government, I think that'll lead to worse outcomes.
Yeah.
I think that'll lead to worse outcomes.
Yeah. 100%. And like, it's a very valid point, where it's like, these are very important conversations to have. And then when the science comes out, of course our opinions will shift and change. And while you're, talking about the whole, like my comparison, it's like, well, yeah, but that's like, that's the cigarette industry. This isn't, we're not worrying about the cigarette industry. This is the tattoo industry, so to be able to take that information and see if we can improve upon it the best as we can, to take those things into consideration, because to basically just say, like, piss off when the information comes out, I guess that's letting the clientele down to a certain extent, because like we do want to apply the best product that we absolutely know we can. And if ingredients need to change in order for us to produce better, tattoos, health-wise, then, so be it. There's nothing that comes without, hurdles. There's nothing that comes without obstacles and stuff like that. So, yeah, to lean into the science when it comes out about, like, oh, this isn't good, this isn't good. Perfect. Okay, cool. What can we do to change it? Is there ways to improve upon this new information? Because like you were saying, like, in, like, tattoo good, stuff like that, like back in the day, like cigarettes are like, oh yeah, cigarettes are healthy. No, they're not at all, like, I don't know if you know, but yeah, no. So it could be the same thing to where oh yeah, tattoos are fine, and then information comes out, it's like, oh well, if we keep doing this, then tattoo not fine, I understand that it's scary for all this stuff to be coming about, to where, well, what if they ban the blue? What if they ban the green? But I guess, like, taking that information and being like, well, what can we do? I guess is a probably the lot smarter path and choice to go about. I think I'm rambling at this point, but
no, not at all. Because I think, like I believe in what you said, like that we just do it as, as thinking creatures, right? There's something that we grasp, and we have to relate other things to it. So your analogy to, like, the dangers of one thing, right? It makes it makes it comprehensible in a certain way. And so I believe that we're all kind of doing that. And it would be we're going to be captured by our own, uh, our own prejudices, right? If you don't like tattoos, you're going to look at this report and say, told you, I told you so. You know what I mean? But if you love tattoos, you're going to look at this report and say, like, forget that. That doesn't matter. And I think, I'm not going to say that the truth is in between all the time, but in this case, there's certainly, like, we need to look further on this. We need to, when I say we, I mean, we have a role as tattooers, and researchers have a role as researchers. And it's difficult, it's going to be difficult to come to a consensus. So that's why probably at this point we need to do everything we can to work together to find a way forward. And so that's it is tricky. It's really tricky. There's no answers today, and again, there may not really be any. But having information,
take out the possibility that there will be,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, having some knowledge about this could be really powerful, and so I'm fascinated by this, and so I'm going to put the QR code up again for the for this particular episode from Reinventing. And really, so what's interesting, what it centers around is this idea of that light changes the chemical composition of the tattoo inks. It does. That's established. And what it leads to is this larger conversation, again, that's been happening for years now. We're just, maybe you're just catching up. This is a long, ongoing conversation about the repercussions getting tattoos, and of course, what are the roles that we all would play in this. So it's a really fascinating interview, and so I would encourage you to check it out. But of course, it doesn't give you any. It just gives you insight. It doesn't give any answers, just like this. So, but keep aware, right? Just stay aware of it. And it's going to be something that's you're going to hear a lot more about, I believe, in the near future. So anyway, that's that part. End of part one. End of part one.
Number one.
Topic number one. Now, segue into the next topic. So again, now thank you for hanging in there, everybody. If you are enjoying our content, we'd love it if you liked and subscribed, and of course, you can tag a friend who's interested in tattoos and these topics. So let me share. Again. Oh, hold on. It wouldn't be Monday, right? If we okay. So yep. A very wonderful book. Here's a QR code for you to check out this book that we're going to be exploring. It's called Dynamic Wrinkles and Drapery. It's by Bern Hogarth. We have looked at Bern Hogarth's work before. If you have been studying art for a while, it's likely that you know this author and artist. He's made a series of books that are very informative and well written. So I would like to. I'm going to share my screen with you now, and I hope that. Yeah, I hope you can enjoy it. Okay, so direct thrust wrinkles. So again, we said the title of the book, Dynamic Wrinkles and Drapery by Bern Hogarth, and we're going to look at one chapter in it. There's lots of really great chapters, but I figured that this one is something that's could be really directly applicable. So let's zoom in, and again, there's like really great illustrations. Stop me, Kyle, if you want to check out an illustration further. I'm sure other people. I get all lost in the reading, right? But like for the audience, like they may want to check out some of the illustrations a little bit more closely. But
okay,
let's get into it. So this is chapter 2. There's a really great chapter that talks about kinetic energy. And again, if you've read Bern Hogarth books before, then you would there's all kinds of really great information. So, all right, let's begin. The direct thrust of the body members acting on a variety of clothing types are responsible for the greatest amount of wrinkle patterns. When the members of the body extend outward from the anchor points of the thrust or pulling action creates direct thrust wrinkles. These wrinkles radiate along the lines of force. They are also among the most common of wrinkle patterns, and they can be observed in garments acted on by the direct thrust generated by walking, stretching, and a number of other activities, often involving the arms and legs. Direct thrust wrinkles, however, do not usually result in the most interesting of wrinkle patterns. I urge you to keep an open mind on this point, since in the final event, you are the judge of what is best and beautiful, and you prove it by making personal choices of forms. There is no higher law. I really like that part. I think that's really. I honestly, I kind of relate it to what we were just talking about. But anyway, if you define the sites of forces of tension, the pattern of wrinkles will follow. Study this figure lunging against a door. Note the anchor points: armpit, midline, crotch, and a mere coat button at the waist. This button is central to the radial wrinkles of the torso. The outward thrusts emanating from the armpit appear as long spiral stretches across the curves of the arm sleeve and on the coat underneath. So we'll see some arrows that you can see the arrows, hopefully, that are kind of giving us this idea. Now see the two sets of wrinkles that start at the midline crotch anchor. The long arrows trace the path of the forces influencing the wrinkles on the figure's pant leg, and the foreshortened curved arrows show those at right. So we'll scroll down here. We're going to see a little bit more of this illustration. Back up just a little bit. And I believe that's, we can feel the tension, right? There's that button, right? And radiating from it are all these lines of force. And it produces wrinkles. Something that I thought of right away was this idea of flow, right? Fit and flow across the body. There's something where these wrinkles, they sort of naturally fit the object, the body in this case, but there's a flow that is happening. I think this can be a really crucial element to our design work. So anyways, moving on. I love these illustrations in this book, though. They're just very beautiful. Anyway, yeah, so here again, this idea on the coat that there's a central point from it, right? We're seeing all these wrinkles. This isn't so much, of a formula as something to start to look for. I think it can be really almost mysterious, when you're trying to, especially if you're trying to create wrinkles, let's say, for whatever the case may be. Somebody's smiling, for instance, or somebody's clothing. That's mainly what this deals with, is that almost enigmatic quality of how clothing tells a story, right? That there's some shape underneath it that is like that. These wrinkles are demonstrating a flow and a fit around, right? So, all right, back to the text. In the jacket worn by the man shown from the front, the direct thrust wrinkle is in response to a simple tension force. The man's arms raise, revealing anchor points that at the seams in the armpits. The lifting action of the arms drive wrinkles across both sleeves to the outer outlines. The arrow indicates the path of the force released by the movements. And the force goes from the collar, another part, and then down under the front chest, right? So again, we can see these movements, right? These upper arrows, right? From the collar and then across the chest. It makes a lot of sense. It's very logical, but of course it's like, all right, when you're drawing it, how do you draw? How do you draw it? You could have a reference image that could help you. But what is it that you're, what is it that you're actually even drawing? I think it can be easy to get lost in all the patterning and stuff. So, right, in the two sketches, top right, tracing the movement of the figure's arm, the pull on the sleeve increases. The wrinkles work to show extension. Not only do they become deeper, they become longer. Observe the extension of the arms in the same man from behind. The tension in both arms starts from the armpit and curves upwards to the outer shoulder. In the multiple sequence drawings of the arm at right, the lifting action appears in 3 stages. The wrinkle creases are somewhat open in the lowest stage. At the middle stage, the creases are tighter. At the highest stage, they are tightly stretched, thin and taut. Clearly, the effort of extension has increased the force of the direct thrust wrinkles. All right. So I know I'm like saying how great the illustrations are. In this one, it's like hard to, it's hard to get it. You know what I mean? But I think what we can see at the very least is there's a central point. This is the point of tension in this particular cloth on this particular form. And everything is radiating out from this point of tension. So we can derive from this that if we wanted to, be able to move this arm in any direction, that if we focus the radiating of these wrinkles from here, we're going to have a consistency, across all these variations on the form. Here's another again, just complicated illustration. I think you can spend some time with it. There's something that you can get from them. But clearly what we've been talking about is that there are these points, and there's a demonstration of this kinetic force that's moving through. It's the tale is being told more explicitly through the clothing. What we're going to see in a little bit is, how we can think about this in terms of the body, because the body has flow as well. This is happening in a different sort of way, but very, very similarly with our own bodies, with the muscles and the flesh. So, anyway, it's just another way of thinking about this as it pertains to composing new drawings or being able to, get some of the results that you're after. Right. The series of movements shown here in the front and side views of a simply attired man involve all the members of the body. So the arms, the legs, the torso, and the head. Both figures are going through the extension, elongation, and elevation of the limbs. The arrows following the lines of force on the figures demonstrate a fundamental rule for all wrinkles. Wrinkles follow the flow of action. If you can define the tension in a figure that generate the direction in which the forces are unleashed, of the wrinkles will follow. Observe how, in each case, the members of the body show the direct thrust flow of wrinkles from the anchor points towards the thrusts or pulls of action. The arrows originate at the anchor points of the collars, armpits, belts, crotch, and then go outward along these lines of force. So it's not random, I think, is the point. And if you just draw like random ass wrinkles, I'm guilty, right? I'm totally guilty. But if they're just random, there's something about it. I mean, it can be stylized. It might be interesting, but again, it's not demonstrating this fundamental rule, right? And that is that it's following this flow. It's following this energy that's moving through. It just does. I mean, that's like we talk about perspective, quite a bit here, and it's not to say that like following some rule of perspective is gonna be the only thing that is gonna help you. But certainly when we look, right, we see perspective everywhere we look. And when you see wrinkles, you're seeing this kinetic energy like flowing through a figure or a subject, or I mean, even if it's like a flag waving in the wind, for example, it's still demonstrating this same like action, like this flow of action. So yeah, look at this one. It's backing up just a little bit, right? This outstretched arms guy. So observe this male performer. Front and back views. He exhibits the direct thrusts of arms and leg extensions. First, let your eye scan the figure as seen from the front. Note the anchor points of the armpits, collar, coat button, midline, and crotch. See how all the wrinkles systems extend outward from each anchor along the lines of tension. And take special note of the coat button. See how the wrinkle curves in every direction. So, we can definitely see, this sort of all this tension kind of right here. Definitely, all the places mentioned: armpits, crotch, button. Here it is from the back, right? The back view figure shows the same dynamics as the front view one. Observe the anchor points for the garments in the armpits, collar, and waist. The midline crotch anchor is hidden from this view, but it affects the wrinkle pattern nonetheless. So also see the same outward extension thrusts of arms, legs, and torso. Follow the remarkable similar coat curves from the back collar. They curve wider towards the rear shoulders. Look further for the tension pulls of the outstretched sleeves. Then note the strong tension pulls on the stretched legs from the crotch. This creates long outward radiating wrinkles on the outer side of the figure's leg. We see several curves competing against the inside wrinkle tension. They're creating cross wrinkles. So yeah, so see this downward leg, right? We can see that there's two flows like sort of interacting with one another, right? And they're crossing over. again, now we're really starting to get some very interesting patterns of wrinkles. That would be very challenging. They're very challenging to comprehend or to create yourself, but seeing them sort of interacting, um, there's a certain logic that I think is really starting to make sense. And if we kind of zoom in maybe a bit, sorry for the radical sort of zooming and stuff, right? We can see a form, right, that's being demonstrated here. There's certain pattern of shadows, certain amount of contrast that's allowing us to see these shapes emerge. Again, they might be slightly accentuated for the purposes of instruction in the book, but they're not overly, they're not overly emphasized. Let's say, right? There's still an overall form, a shape of leg, and on it we can start to see how these wrinkles cross contour, right? They sort of cross, they go across the contour and not only give us form, but again, there's forms on top of the form, which is which I think is interesting. Um, so let's continue. Okay, again, I'm gonna back up just slightly, so it's gonna jump. So apologies. Yeah, of course. Sorry. Um, but you get to enjoy the illustrations again. All right, so here is this woman dancing, right? All of these flowing, wrinkles that go all over the place. Uh, it's different in every one of these figures, right? But again, there's a decision that's being made. Here's a point of tension, and from there, we're getting all of this kinetic movement. All right. So by now, the anchors of the armpits, the waistline belt cinch, and the midline should be familiar reference points. As we have long seen, unimpeded wrinkles follow the actions of elongated body forms. As you look at this leaping dancer, pay attention to the bent leg. Note that the action changes at the knee, so must the wrinkles. Right, so we can see right there. Wrinkles are all flowing in one direction. The knee bends, changing the trajectory of the leg, and movement, right? The wrinkles are moving. Makes lots of sense, but again, it's got to be pointed out so that way we can understand it. All right, in this multiple sequence figure depicting extreme arm leg extensions, the logic of wrinkles as they follow the flow of action is very clear. Check the anchor points and observe the subtle rotation of the hands, arms, and feet. Study the feet in detail. Note that the shoes at the center tend to turn inward, and when the leg is fully extended, the shoes turn outward. See how the wrinkles are influenced by the position of the shoes in each stage of the drawing. Let me try to, hopefully you can see it very clearly, right? Again, it's beautiful, right? To me, right, I think all of this sort of energetic flow, I think it's very beautiful. And how we can start to understand, the form that's underneath that's causing these wrinkles. Again, relating to a certain tension and a certain anchoring point. This is likely something that might help your tattoo designs, for instance, right? There might be a certain point where you'll want to start these energetic flows. So paying close attention to, the patterns that you find when you set up a simple like towel or a cloth or something, a drape, and just look at how the wrinkles sort of develop. How would you render that? Put a strong light on it and draw it out. It's a really great exercise. Okay, so here's this very gestural figure. Man dancing, right? All right. So a conditional rule of wrinkles and folds is loose material tends to wind, curve, and spiral in active free forms. Look carefully at the extended members of the sleeping dancer. They display long, direct thrust wrinkles. Again, we have foreshortening of forms, notably in the advancing left leg at left, and wrinkles going into spiral curves. Note the loose, wide sleeves and trousers, and see also the free-flowing sash. Virtually every garment here moves with spiral wrinkles. It should be clear by now that the direct thrust wrinkle system is easily predictable. As long as members stretch and move in whatever direction, we can anticipate their course and pattern as we see in this drawing. The thrust force lines always extend outward from the body along the arms and legs. An important subtlety to note when looking at this drawing is that our viewpoint is angled towards the left rear of the man in the tilted seat. The forms look somewhat foreshortened and elliptically curved. The rule is that the more that the forms recede or become foreshortened, the more curved the wrinkles become. Right. So there's this guy sitting in a chair. Again, there's a point of tension, probably where he's seated, and everything is really emanating out from that point. Elliptically oriented. There's a curvaceous around here, around the shoulders. You can see that elliptical formation of wrinkles sort of starting to emerge. Well, anyway, that was that's the chapter. I mean, there's a little bit more to it, but of course, let's see. But of course, I think I want to encourage you to check out this book. I will share the code for you all. Check out this book. Add it to your collection. I think it's one that I enjoy, and I think you will as well. And now I want to share. This is an image from Guy Atchison's Reinventing the Tattoo, where we can see. Let me get rid of this. We're seeing this exact sort of principle, I think, start to be, applied right to our concern. Right, our object is tattoos. That's the name of the show, Drawing for Tattooers. So we are thinking, talk about art. We talk about how to compose things. Here is I think a really interesting illustration of what we were just talking about applied to tattoo form. And so this is Guy's work. He's been thinking about this for a long time too. But this is what he would talk about as the most important thing. Is that the way that it fits and the way that it flows on the body is going to be of an incredible importance. And so, I saw this, I was going through subjects. What are we going to cover? How about this idea of, of wrinkles? And then how does that pertain to tattoos? Well, you may want to draw wrinkles in your subject, right? You might want to draw something that has folds and wrinkles and all sorts of things, but on a more direct sort of application, where are these sort of lines, of force being directed visually in our subject? This is what Guy has to say about it, visually speaking, that you are going to find there's all this movement happening. It's going to be related, again, to anchor points where tension is being sort of drawn. And so as you move it around, there may actually be sort of different sorts of flow, different lines of flow that you may encounter. But yeah, that's what I wanted to try to tie together art-wise today. And I hope you enjoyed it, everybody. Very good. We covered a lot of stuff. We talked about the future of ink, and we also talked about this really complicated idea about flow. It's like the first chapter in the Reinventing book. So if if you're interested in learning more, I'll throw a QR code. I think it's been up. Scan this QR code in the upper, well, for me, it's on my left side, but scan this QR code and it'll take you to reinventingthetattoo.com, where of course you can sign up for, our nightly or our weekly drawing group, Reinventing Subscribers drawing group. You can also get access to the Reinventing the Tattoo book, right? So if you're into books, this is a digital one that Guy is always updating, and it has a lot of really great knowledge in it. So can't recommend it enough. I've really enjoyed it. We've got some people in the chat here. Jason Leeser, good morning. Love your show. It's coming right up, everybody. It's going to be at noon Eastern Standard Time, right here on Reinventing. So be sure to check out Skill Building Mondays with Jason Leeser. Thank you so much. Bruno, morning to you as well, Bruno. It's great to see you in the chat. Thank you, Bruno. Appreciate your encouragement. Bruno, you're welcome to join us anytime. We love your work, and I think it's always great getting a chance to catch up with you. It's convention season, and so hopefully we'll be able to all catch up really soon. Well, Kyle, I wanted to just check in with you and ask you, have you ever read this book before? Have you ever seen this one, this Bern Hogarth one that we were covering today?
No, I haven't, but it's awesome because it helps out with the piece that I'm working on. And then secondly, it gives me a different insight to biomech sleeves, looking at anchor points and the flow of that. So I never put those two and two together. I'm like, holy shit. So yeah, I'm definitely going to be re-looking at tattoos on how they have it and how it flows and how it moves, I guess, yeah, it's just I know about the flow and fit and everything, but like, I don't know. I just feel like it adds a different angle to it. So super exciting.
That's awesome. Well, yeah. I guess that was I won't lie. Like I just made this connection myself, and I really believe in it. Right? That there's some connection here to this idea. Like there's an anchor point, and things are flowing from these points of tension.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I'm always looking at Guy's diagram. And I'm like, what in the world? How do you get this?
Yeah.
How's all this movement happening, right? And I think if you are composing your own, because I don't think he would say this is that's the final word about how things flow. It's just a really great example of how to approach it.
Yeah.
But if you're really thinking about like how are you going to design your own movement that might be have an origin or an anchor point, and things are moving from it, they can always interact, cross over each other and whatnot. But well, hopefully this has been useful for y'all. I hope it wasn't that's a part of what we're trying to do. What I believe in is that this is about fundamentals. But I'm not trying to dumb things down. I really don't. I want it to be accessible, but it's also like sometimes it gets into it gets pretty complex. And I think, and here's what I would say: like if you are if one is watching and thinking this is so basic, blah 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 blah, you're not looking hard enough. That's what I would suggest, right? That you're not thinking about it deeply enough. It is complex. It is accessible, but that would be the whole point of it, is that you're always going to be working through it. And sometimes I think that's what we mean when we're talking about fundamental principles, is that you are always subject to them in some dimension. They're always like a part of it. So whether you choose to recognize them or to disavow them, right, there's still there's still some relationship to it. But I really love getting a chance to come on here on Mondays and talk about these ideas with you all. Um, Kyle, I want to thank you so much for joining me and for
Always.
yeah, man, it's awesome. It's great having a partner to talk about some of these ideas and to just sort of bounce some of them off of somebody else and get some reactions and things.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, I can't wait to see what else you come up with. We're going to get together tonight, Monday night, for the subscribers exclusive drawing group, and can't encourage you all enough out there to join up because it's awesome. It's awesome
It's so
having
much fun.
just having it's. I tattoo, you know what I mean? Like I keep talking about it. Like, yeah, I'm tattooing all day, and it's like there are the drawings I need to do for my clients. Sometimes they come with a very specific thing they want. Sometimes I get to draw something that's a bit more custom or something that I'm really interested in stylistically. And those are amazing moments. But having a group where we're actually just, we're just, you get a chance to experiment. You get a chance to get some feedback and put your work out there. I think it's really valuable. So we've got, things coming up. The Tattoopreneur. I'm sure that I'm not pronouncing that right, but want to give a thanks to Tattoo Now. So Tattoo Now is technology for tattooers. It is customer relations management software is a big part of their offering. So if you want to learn more, you can scan the QR code or visit Tattoo Now. So thanks, Gabe, for everything you do behind the scenes. It's really awesome. And then again, up there at top, we've got the QR code where you can direct you right to reinventingthetattoo.com, where you can learn more about the educational offerings that are there. You can also learn more about Guy Etchison by visiting guyetchison.com. And so thanks, Guy, for for being the founder and inspiration behind this community. It's really appreciate the space and everything that you're doing behind the scenes as well. I want to say thanks to Kyle Olson. Thanks, Kyle Olson, for coming today and for engaging with these topics. It's it's always a pleasure to see you. Where can we find you? Learn more about you.
If you want to get a hold of me on Instagram, it's right there, the Olson_tattoos. It's a great place to get a hold of me. You can also get a hold of me at trinityartcollective.com. I'm out of Tucson, Arizona. More than happy to talk tattoos with anybody. And always, James, thank you for having me here. And then super interesting topics that are definitely going to be super beneficial to my day-to-day. Definitely a new angle of looking at sleeve design, because that's when you're talking about the wrinkles. I'm like, oh, I wonder if this correlates with sleeve design. Oh, it does, totally. And the whole thing of the different positions of how farther out you move, the more intense the wrinkles get. So it's
I just saw him just now when you
yeah,
yeah.
Exactly. And so I'm wondering when it comes to say a biomech sleeve design, to think of how it looks when it's flat. Look how it's here, its overall movement and stuff like that. So super awesome. So yeah, thank you.
Brad. No, thank you so much. Thank you all for joining us. Number 93, episode 93. So amazing. Thank you for joining us. I'm James Wisdom. You can find me on the internet at Tattooing Wisdom. This has been Drawing for Tattooers. Thanks everybody. Happy drawing, and we'll see you next